Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a hidden reason why incredibly expensive hard tile projects often turn into complete disasters, and why mastering modern, modular flooring might just be the absolute smartest pivot for your next big project.
Okay, let's dive into this. It's honestly a heartbreaking scenario, right? You invest heavily in the absolute perfect porcelain tile, and it looks gorgeous on day one. But within a few months, a hairline crack appears right across the middle of the room. Why? Well, the sources point to a fascinating reality. The secret to a lasting floor lies almost entirely in the unseen preparation. A tile chosen well, but laid poorly, is literally doomed to fail. Here is our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the foundation of flooring and common hard tile mistakes. Then, we'll explore the carpet tile revolution, walk through the unseen prep, mastering the layout, and finally, finishing and longevity. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The foundation of flooring. What lies beneath the surface? Think of a floor kind of like a giant iceberg. The truly critical structure is entirely hidden. A perfect example of failing to respect that hidden subfloor is a phenomenon called lippage. Basically, this is what happens when there's a height difference between adjacent tiles. When the base surface isn't perfectly flat before the adhesive goes down, those raised edges physically manifest into an uneven surface. For a floor, this becomes an immediate dangerous trip hazard. Moving to Section 2. Common hard tile mistakes. A costly cautionary tale. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that most of these installation failures don't even show up on day one. If you leave even a little dust on the floor or you ignore a slight moisture issue, the adhesive simply won't bond. 6 months later, the tile begins to hollow out underneath because that bond is breaking. Or maybe the wrong adhesive was used for the specific material, or proper grout joint widths weren't left to allow for natural expansion. The result is always the exact same: popping, cracking, and chipping. And here is the brutal truth that directly impacts your wallet. With hard tile, there is rarely a quick patch. When these mistakes eventually rear their ugly heads, fixing them usually means pulling the tiles off, chiseling up all that dried mortar, and starting the whole shebang entirely over from scratch. Shortcuts here do not save time or money. They just guarantee a much larger bill down the road. Which brings us to Section 3, the carpet tile revolution, a flexible, forgiving future. Just look at this specific insight pulled from an industry expert discussing this on Reddit. They point out that the rubber backing on carpet tiles makes them fundamentally superior to standard glue-down rolls of carpet. Because of this highly specialized backing, the edges of carpet tiles are incredibly tough. They're far less likely to unravel at the seams, which, is at the exact place where traditional roll carpets almost always fail first. And this brilliantly illustrates the night and day difference when you compare traditional broadloom rolls directly to modular tiles. Broadloom is incredibly heavy to install, the long seams are totally prone to fraying, and man, if someone spills bleach or drops an iron, you're stuck patching a huge roll, which never matches perfectly. Carpet types, on the other hand, offer this easy single tile replacement. If one tile gets ruined, you literally lift it up, grab a spare from the closet, and drop it in. It's a real game changer. But perhaps the most shocking advantage is the cost efficiency of the material itself. Check this out. When you install broadloom carpet in a room with a funky shape or lots of angles, you can end up wasting as much as 40% of the material just to make the cuts work. You pay for all that extra carpet just to throw it straight in the dumpster. With modular carpet tiles, you generally only need about 7% extra material. That is a massive budget saver right out of the gate. Of course, not all carpet tiles are created equal, so matching the specific material to the room is absolutely crucial. If you're outfitting a busy office or a high-traffic hallway, you're going to want tough fibers like nylon or polypropylene. But if you're upgrading a bedroom or a cozy home office, polyester offers a much softer, comfortable feel. And if you're just looking for a budget-friendly basement renovation, loop pile tiles will give you fantastic durability without breaking the bank. All right, Section 4, prep, the unseen hero. Setting the stage for success. While carpet tiles are incredibly forgiving, they still rely entirely on pristine subfloor preparation. Seriously, it's essential not to rush this phase. Removing all the old debris and vacuuming thoroughly is absolutely critical because dust immediately weakens that adhesive bond. Tightening down any loose, squeaky wooden boards goes a very long way. And if you're on concrete, filling cracks with a self-leveling mix and checking for moisture makes a massive difference. Rushing this prep is the absolute fastest way to get uneven tiles that eventually lift at the corners, cutting your floor's lifespan way short. Next up is Section 5, Mastering the Layout, the Puzzle Masterclass. Let's move to and see how this builds. To execute a truly professional installation, you need a strict step-by-step approach. Think of it like a giant strategic puzzle. First, you measure and mark the exact center of your room. Second, you snap intersecting chalk lines or use a laser level to create a perfect crosshair. Third, you place your first tile precisely at that center point and work your way outward toward the walls. And fourth, you pay very close attention to the fiber direction of the tiles as you lay them down.
Now, speaking of fiber direction, there's an incredible industry secret you absolutely need to know about. It's called the quarter-turn installation. This is where you intentionally alternate the direction of every adjacent tile by exactly 90 degrees, creating a subtle checkerboard pattern. So why do this? Because if you have to replace a stained tile 5 years down the line, the new tile is going to come from a slightly different dye lot. If the tiles are all facing one direction, the new one will stick out like a sore thumb. But with a quarter-turn pattern, the eye is tricked by the alternating light reflections, making that brand new replacement tile completely unnoticeable. It's an absolutely brilliant hack.
As you're laying these tiles down, you really have to find that Goldilocks zone. They need to sit snug against each other, but they must never be forced. If you cram them together way too tightly, the edges will buckle and peek upward. If you leave them too loose, you'll end up with ugly, dirt-catching gaps. A firm but gentle alignment is key here. Finally, Section 6, Finishing and Longevity, built to last decades. The absolute critical secret to locking this all in is using a heavy weighted floor roller. Once all the tiles are placed, you must roll the entire floor firmly. This presses the backing of the tiles deeply and evenly into the adhesive, permanently locking in the bond and ensuring those corners won't curl up later. You'll also want to install proper transition strips at the doorways to protect the edges. Wipe up any fresh glue immediately and give the whole room a really thorough vacuuming to lift the pile. If you choose the right material and install it with this level of care, the longevity is just staggering. In our source material, one community user shared a fantastic anecdote about a church carpet that had survived 40 years of kids dropping cookies on it, and it was still holding on. That is the insane durability of well-maintained commercial-grade flooring. When properly prepped and cleanly installed, these floors are genuinely built to survive decades of real life. So, what does this all mean for you? I'll leave you with this thought. Are you going to rush the hidden details and risk ruining your next renovation? Or are you ready to take a breath, respect the subfloor, and lay the perfect foundation? Whether you're opting for the beautiful rigidity of ceramic or the brilliant flexibility of carpet tiles, you now possess the unseen secrets to a floor that won't just look amazing on day one, but will absolutely stand the test of time. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.